Our therapist friend, Dr. Jonathan Carroll, is here with another good word on dealing with feelings of being unworthy. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Angie.
You know, this is something you and I both, if you're a former pastor, I'm a pastor, this particular topic comes across my desk more often than I'd like to admit.
Yeah, I think if we were to zoom out a little bit, we'd see that this may be the longest lasting pandemic, perhaps of the human condition, is feelings of low self-worth, if any at all.
So, you know, I know it's just a mega issue. What are some of the indicators when someone comes to talk to you, you immediately know to say this is really low self-esteem?
If I listen to someone who is engaging in self-criticism or self-blaming, people who often experience anxiety or depression or eating difficulties or disorders, the symptoms are as long as can be. The reality is when people feel like they do not have an inflated or a healthy or solid, stable sense of self and self-worth, they do become symptomatic in one way or another. And it's a sad thing. And ironically, it's one of the most preventable things. I think if we talked about it more and people knew skills that they could utilize to improve their sense of self-worth.
Well, and I know you know this, but some of the women in particular I have dealt with present very confident on the outside, but when the deeper story is told, that is the exact opposite of the presenting personality.
Absolutely. I think that's true for a lot of people, especially with the onset and rise of social media, where people want to communicate and articulate a particular message that's very well crafted, that appears like everything is okay. But deep inside, most of us, not everything is okay. And in fact, for some, nothing is okay. And I think that's part of a defense mechanism, of course, right? No one really wants other people to see them as they are. But ironically, the core that all of us have is that we really do want to be known and want to be seen. So we're living in this kind of cognitive dissonance where I don't want anyone to see me, but that's the most thing that I want, is for someone to actually see me and to know me.
So the answer is having those therapeutic conversations?
I think so, yeah. At the end of the day, you know, there is a difference between self-esteem and self-worth, and I think people sometimes conflate those two things. Self-esteem typically ties to senses of achievement and accomplishment and abilities and skills. And self-esteem, therefore, by being attached to those things, can be improved by working on skills and increasing one's abilities, and one can feel more confident in oneself about that. But a sense of self-worth really has to do with the core of who we are. A lot of it has to do with how we were raised. Of course, there's the old nature-nurture conversation, and it's both. How we were raised, how we were meant to feel about ourselves, how we believed other people could perceive of us and felt about us. And of course, as we get older, the goal is for us to think and care less and less about what people believe about us or perceive about us, and put more energy and emphasis on what we know about ourselves and what we believe about ourselves. But at the end of the day, it has to do with forgiving ourselves, because all of us have something we need to forgive ourselves for, completely accepting ourselves as we are, acknowledging that what we really want is for someone to say, I see you and I hear you and I know you and you're worthy. You're worthy because you're a human being. You're worthy because you're you. And in the absence of someone to say that, the beautiful thing is we can say that to ourselves. And finally, it does help to be a part of a community of people who can look at us and say those things and know that, you know, we are accepted and we are approved of, not because of anything we've done or brought to the table, but simply because we are, simply because of who we are. And it is enough. We are enough and we are worthy.
Jonathan, as always, thank you so much. Those indeed are good words.
Thank you, Angie.
See you soon. We'll be back with more local lifestyles right after this. Stay with us.